There's been something on my mind, and something I've been noticing around a lot, and it's got me worried. And it should have others worried too. I don't know if I'm the only one who notices this stuff, or maybe it's just coincidence, but I can't really ignore it. So with that said, we need to talk. So the thing I've been noticing is that there's this... how do I put this? There's been a sort of pattern of behavior, and the main part of it is that it'll probably sound familiar, and it kind of falls in the line of, get woke, go broke. Company gets woke, does really progressive virtue signal-y things, and, well, ultimately pisses off the fans and people who really don't like this stuff. And I probably could have compiled a list of all these things, but I think it kind of just sums up everything just by saying Gamergate. Yeah, Gamergate is old hat at this point, but you can't really ignore the fact that it was more or less when this shit started hitting the fan, and only escalated further from there. Since then, we've seen the news go pretty much full tilt left, making people lose their goddamn minds to the point where they're accusing innocent people of being Nazis or whatever the fuck have you, and then Me Too happened, which exposed a bad guy, but in the process created a witch hunt that started taking pretty much innocent victims of crimes they did not commit. And it's ultimately ended up in a negative for women in general, which is not a good thing. And essentially boiling all of that down to, it's just the infection of social justice and NPCs and social justice warriors and political correctness and all the fun shit we can call names at for these insane asylum rejects. But it doesn't seem to be going away. It just seems to be getting even more absurd and even more insane. See stuff like Overwatch constantly, trying to prove their virtue is righteous and stuff with every little new character update or weird fucking announcement that nobody really gives a shit about, like Soldier 76 coming out as gay after 2+ years of established character building. Now suddenly you want to tell us he's gay? Not that it matters, he's still going to get wrecked by everything else in that game. And just seeing EA and Ubisoft and all the other usual suspects just go, hey, look at our diversity, isn't that neat? Buy our game. They're it's clear and obvious that they're using all of this wokeness and LGBT positive stuff as a marketing tool. A very risky, if not proven failed, marketing tool. Because the people they're trying to appeal to not only is not their demographic, nor are they their customers, but the people they think they're appealing to is not who they think they are. And that's where I'm finally going to get on track here with this line of thought, and that is, I've noticed a systematic, slow takeover of communities and businesses and all sorts of other shit that I can't even find words to describe. And not just in gaming, not just in comics, we already know that's happening, not just Hollywood, because that's the fucking heart and soul of this corruption of society, I guess would be the best way of describing it. But it's like, even the LGBT community, it's not what it is. It's no longer what it is. It was, I dare say, it's probably the first to fall to these social parasites. I can't even find a definitive term for what to call these people. So, bear with me as I give them like 20 different names throughout this recording. But it's like, I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who have had LGBT friends. You've had that gay friend, that lesbian friend, or maybe somebody who was actually trans, who is, either had the surgery or has done the transition or is where they want to be in that particular area. And you probably know some people who are queer or whatever. And you probably also know, at least if you've known these people before the advent, if you will, of the LGBT movement going full tilt, like I would say around 2010 to 12, like before those years, you'll probably, I'm willing to bet that those people you knew didn't tell you to address them by proper pronouns nonstop, didn't freak out whenever you got it wrong by accident, and didn't go to every absurd length to control your speech, mannerisms, and everything about your life to fit theirs. I'm pretty sure the thing that they only wanted was for you to treat them like any other human being, and as a friend, because that's what you probably were, a friend or something. And they just wanted to be normal. I've met LGBT people long before that advent, and they were never like the current LGBT, as it were. When I was a kid, I used to be like in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. I don't know if that's a thing outside of Vegas, but I was in it regardless. And my big brother was a gay man. I didn't even know either. He didn't make it apparent. I mean, his house and other stuff was not littered with gay porn or I'm gay symbology or what other shit like that. He was like a normal guy. He was a chill dude. We played games. We had pizza together. Went swimming. He was like a big brother. I mean, that was kind of the whole deal there. And then eventually, I don't know what the hell came up about it. Probably because someone told Big Brothers or Sisters or my mom or something. She pulls me aside and she decides to tell me, it's like, we need to talk. And I'm like, okay, what's up? It's about your big brother. I'm like, okay, is he okay? Is something wrong? And she says, well, he's gay. And it's like, as far as I'm concerned, my definition of gay at that time was the actual definition, which is to be happy or carefree or whatever the old definition was of gay before it actually became what it is now. And it's like, I heard that, I'm like, okay, so? And then she elaborates further, because I clearly wasn't getting it, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I just gave zero fucks about it. I liked hanging out with him, he was fun, and so why would I care if he happens to like other guys? It's just like, okay, odd, but I don't care, he's a nice guy. So, to rewind it up a bit, I'm pretty sure back in the days before the LGBT thing was more of a prevalent thing like it is now, a lot of people who probably had friends or acquaintances that were gay, lesbian, trans, whatever, they just they treated them like normal people, didn't care, or at the very most knew that they just wanted to be treated like you, me, or anyone else, and that's the ultimate goal. And now, all of a sudden, it's what it is now. And I'm pretty sure a lot of LGBT people, like the actual LGBT people, would probably agree with me on this one, that the community has changed. It has been infected, invaded, corrupted, what have you. And to me, I'm pretty sure that it's accurate. That assessment is accurate, because it matches what's been happening to everything else, from gaming to comics, movies, entertainment, news, everything else that's, everything else that inevitably has a wokeness controversy. You can bet your ass that the same thing that happened to the LGBT community that happened to gaming, that happened to comics, that happened to every nerd facet, hobby, industry, whatever. That's what happened to it. Some group, these fucking social parasites, got into the community somehow, blended in amongst all the other community members, and then slowly started to manipulate shit or start causing a kerfuffle using lies or altering events or something to make it seem like, oh shit, this terrible thing is happening, to drum up rage. Because back in the day, LGBTs, yeah, they weren't normal, if you will. They were not widely accepted. They were, an oddity within the normal lives of people. And so they were the outcasts. And so if you told something terrible happening to these people who are literally social outcasts, enough to rile them up to a point where they will start getting more aggressive, and you can easily manipulate them into this shit. And that's what I think happened, and why the LGBT community is probably the first of many in this little culture war thing that is going on these past few years, since Gamergate pretty much exploded it into the air, and I dare say kind of made the infection spread, more or less, as a consequence. I could be wrong on some of this stuff, but that's the feeling I got. That's my retroactive prediction, if you will, on things that probably have happened. And it's just, how do you stop this? Because it's not going to stop. It hasn't been stopping. It's just been happening. It's been moving along constantly, even though gamers have technically won the majority of fights against these social parasites. The war is still kind of going on here. We got Vampire the Masquerade 2. It's like, oh hey, shit, it's a sequel to a game, nobody asked for a sequel, but fuck yeah, a lot of people love this game. And then, like, not an hour later, you got the story writer and team members and everything talking about, how they need to be more sensitive and in regards to certain issues, and then using like fucking the fucking social justice pronouns and whatever. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? People were like, what is wrong with you? No, stop. Of course they're not going to stop. And this isn't the first time that that Paradox has decided to start injecting this shit, from what I can gather. Yeah, so it's gotta be a world record for how quickly hype has died from a game announcement. And speaking of old things that have been brought back to life to drum up hype for it, have you not seen a pattern of this too? Like Thundercats Roar, She-Ra, Voltron. I mean, Voltron 2, at least up until like the later seasons, was pretty good until they start getting a little too woke. and eventually went broke. All the Marvel franchises, you know, getting a makeover and getting put on to Netflix, or it's like, oh shit, the Punisher, yeah, the fucking Punisher, season 2 happens. What the fuck happened? Why are we making Trump allegories about William fucking Fisk the Kingpin when Kingpin is not even remotely close to how Trump is? Aside from his fucking bigger-than-life ego, maybe? No, you don't. Why are you doing that? And then you see the same shit happening across the board for all the other Netflix Marvel franchises, which are now dead. Go figure. And then you see, what was it, Warhammer got an infection sometime last year. I don't know if it's gotten worse or not by now, but I remember that being a thing. Battletech was brought back from the fucking ashes to everyone's applause, and what do we get? We get pronouns and ham-fisted progressiveness. Nothing nobody wanted. Nobody wanted that shit. Bringing back Baldur's Gate with the Siege of Dragonspear expansion. No one asked for that, but they appreciate it. They were hyped for it. Fans wanted this after hearing that there was going to be expansion. We get to return back to this well-established world with fantastic lore, amazing characters that we got to know and love, and what do we get? We get an NPC that wants to brag about their transness and other bullshit. One of the characters, which used to be a sexy, seductive wench for lack of a better term, is now a fucking third-wave feminist of sorts, and it's just all the main cast, most of the main cast's personality is neutered or altered to a point where you can't even recognize them. And there is a reason people did not like this. And the list just fucking goes on with all these games, these franchises, these beloved things that have fans. Star Wars! Need I say any more? It is a fucking invasion of all of our communities. Every single one. Not just everything in the nerd sphere. Not just gaming, not comics, not technology, not Hollywood, not even anime. Every single community that people have made, have joined, who have a shared interest in something, that have a passion for something, where they just go there to talk and enjoy the thing they love, and then all of a sudden, almost like a switch gets turned on or off. All of a sudden, it's suddenly oppressed women this, oppressed minorities this, racism, sexism, everythingism, LGBT this, LGBT that. It goes from whatever you were talking about and loving with all your people into this socio-political garbage! And it tears the communities apart until eventually, if they don't fight back, if they don't stand strong, they break. It shatters. It's no longer healable. It's no longer salvageable. And that's what it's like for the actual LGBT community. Their community is fractured and broken now. Diseased from these social parasites who have taken over and have turned their community into this cult, this social inquisition that goes out of its way to ruin the lives of others for the minorest of infractions, for the faintest whiff of heresy in their ranks. And comics is probably the second one to go. Comics are going to be the second community to fall fully to this cult, these fucking social parasites. That's just what I'm gonna call them now, because that's what they are. They infect communities and industry. They suck the life out of them. They kill what makes it live and thrive, and leaves it a dead husk to the whims of the parasite. And it's spread all over. Anime is going through it right now. especially in regards to the voice acting industry on the English side. The Vic Mignogna thing, that's part of the same group. Same group that's infected anime, has infected a part of its industry, and is now tearing it apart from within. Conventions are literally shutting out an established voice actor who has been nothing short of one of the greatest human beings alive. He may have got touchy-feely and shit, but that's the way he is. And to put to that point, what is so wrong about hugging people, giving them a friendly kiss, not on the lips or anything, unless they're your girlfriend or something, but whatever. It's like, back in my days, back in the 80s and 90s, you gave your friends hugs or a handshake. You gave them a friendly kiss if you were really good friends, because you love them that much. When did actions of love and friendship become taboo? That's what I'm fucking talking about with this cult. It's just... it's so fucking grating. Soul-destroying, even. All it has been doing is destroying everything, every piece of fabric of our society that allows us to get through the day, to enjoy our lives just a little more, to make sense of things, to not worry so much. The bonds of friendship and camaraderie that a lot of people had. It's time, excuse the cliche, to wake the fuck up, people. You can't just ignore what's going on around you anymore. Because eventually it's going to come to your doorstep, and you're not going to know what to do because you're caught off guard. Whatever your community is, whatever your interest is, no matter how benign, no matter how literally diverse it is, no matter how unpolitical your community, your interest, your passion is, or you yourself is, it's going to come to your home. It's going to come into your community. And you're not going to be able to fight it because it didn't concern you. So, you're probably wondering now, what do we do? What can we do? Well, honestly, it is a bit hopeless. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit for you on this one. But it is practically hopeless if your community or thing has reached the same levels as comics or the LGBT community. It's... your best bet now is to just move on and try to either create your own if you have the power and the drive and passion to do so, or leave it to die, which I don't think you'll want to live with that. As far as everyone else who still has some time still, that there might be a chance to turn things around, or at least salvage your communities and industry or whatever, my advice would be, is you need to realize who your enemies are. And it is the people who do this shit, where they try to control your speech, where they try to censor what you do and what you love, if they go out of their way to ostracize you, exile you, and shame you into the ground until you submit to their whims. You need to not do that. You, above all else, know what your community is about, what you are about, and what your whole entire community does. Yeah, there may be some bad actors, but that does not represent all of you. You and your community need to stand together. You need to have the spine to fight back, to take the blows, and then grin at them with defiance. You have to not bow down to these people, because that is what they want. They want you to submit, and the moment you submit to them is the moment they can start infecting others and you. And that is the moment everything starts to go downhill. These are our communities, these are our sources of entertainment, of escapism, of our lives. And if we actually give a fuck about anything that we are passionate about, be it gaming, comics, anime, movies, film, TV, music, technology, whatever it is, if we actually give a fuck about these things, we need to realize that the people who intentionally try to discredit and harm the very things that we enjoy and love for years and know better than anyone else who is not part of these communities is our enemies. You need to stand strong. You need to not bend the knee. And more importantly, you need to not let the very thing that brought all of you together and what you love fall to the whims and the political bullshit that they want it to fall into. Save your goddamn communities, and we might actually be able to save society in the process. A lofty goal, maybe a bit too big for our britches, but that's how the cogs fall. Take care of yourselves, alright?